impossible. Because that's what they want to find out, isn't it? And it's important it's important for them to feel you understand what they are talking about. So your son must see you as not there. You know, the trouble with mentors is that sometimes they are seen as way out there. They can't understand we are down here. And when you think the guy is up there and you are down here, you don't want to bother him with small things. So you end up collapsing because you could not go to him. He has never. So you need to show him you have also been stressed and you have had challenges. Then you tell him how you dealt with it. Some of the stressors have to do with their place of work. I will share with a person one day when I was told I'm going to get fired. And the children are at such an age, you wonder what will happen once I'm fired. And it stresses you. You can have no sleepless night until the Lord whispered, you don't get your money from Shell. You get from me through Shell. And as long as the receiver has something, pipes can be changed. And Shell is only a pipe. My source is, and it gave me rest. Am I communicating? Those are the stories you need to share with your children when you have faced stressing times. Refer him to an expert if coping mechanism now you can see are not adequate. That's something you need. But for emotional support, it's a higher level of your relationship than just son-daughter, father relationship. You need to ask yourself how you are dealing with it. What about the issues of financial guidance? What role should parents play in their young adults' financial decisions, such as budgeting, or even maybe they are having student loans, or even investing? The other day I was let me read the second question. How can parents teach financial responsibility without creating independence? The other day I was dealing with a young man. I asked him, that's not now, it's about before COVID. I asked him, have you applied for help? He says, no. I said, why? I didn't know where the files are. I said, no, that's not true. For a university student, you should be able to find out. That's when he finally admitted he doesn't think he's poor to be going for help. At that time, the mother has told me the struggle she is going through with the university. But the son thinks it's too embarrassing to be associated with a help loan. Did you hear some of them are writing, instead of saying their father are hawkers, they are saying my father is a trader. Then they are being classified with the traders. Now when they have been classified at a level, 4 or 5, they are now blaming the government. But the government is not to blame. It's your own son who wants to pretend you are richer than you actually are. So I shared with the boy. You see, you are not supposed to be earning money. So if there's somebody poor, it's not you, it's your mother. And she is willing to be not poor. So just go and feel. I tell them, me, I'm okay, it's my mother. It's your mother who needs help, not you, isn't it? If you don't get help, who will pay? Your mother. Can you see the kind of argument? Yes. You need to talk to your child such that you can take the blame that he feels you should take, isn't it? And you don't argue with him on that issue. And that's an important area when you're talking about financial guidance. So I'm suggesting avoid running your adult children's life. Avoid it. You know, how did you use your salary? What is in your budget? That's none of your business. Talk principles. Don't talk details. Somebody said the other day, the devil is in there. Don't become the devil. So keep off the details. Are we together? Yeah, because you see, by the way, these financial issues are so complicated that when you do, your son will welcome you. Once he welcomes you and you can see he can't make money, he's expecting you to cough money, isn't it? If you don't cough money after the details, he says, you mean you are just misusing me? Why were you trying to know if you are not going to help? So the best of keep off the details. Unless he himself gives you, don't ask for it. Talk principles. Avoid running the budget. And you know some of them, it's your son. It's not your son. It's your daughter-in-law. The reason she married that boy was not because of the boy. It's because of the father. Hey, if I marry that home, mambo yetu kuisha. Oh, our problem's gone. Now they are struggling with no money. Say, why can't you go to your father? What's wrong with your father? How can you be walking if he can't buy you a car? And a lot of our sons are in a lot of trouble because the wife was not marrying them. Yes. They were marrying us. Although we are not available, we already have our own wife. Am I communicating? So you have to work at it. So that it's very clear you are not the husband of your daughter-in-law. You are a relative, yes. But when they struggle, let them struggle. If they want help, let it be properly documented. Are we together? Let it be properly documented. Where the two of them, not one without the other. The two of them must be involved in that documentation. Anyway, avoid running your adult children's right. Number two, if you are really going to give them a help, you must ask them for a budget. Because if you give money and they think it's the money, they just finish it and come for more, isn't it? So it needs to be very clear. You are a bank, not a father now. So you need to apply banking rules. They offer the budget, then you evaluate after some time to say, did you carry out the budget items you talk about? If they put it in a different budget, tell them, no, please never come to me again. You cannot be trusted with money. Because you are the one who told me it's a budget. It's a budget I finance. How did you end up using? Although I've just come from Kenya Science campus of the University of Nairobi, and they had asked me to talk about giving. And I told them a lot of people have challenges giving because church cannot be trusted. The pastor is raising money for a car. You give him, then he goes and buys a plot. Next year you see him on number 11, 2 legs. Now, so you ask yourself, what happened to our money? And you ask the pastor, he says, what's your problem? You gave me, isn't it? Surely. I did whatever I thought was priority. It was not priority. Those of you in audit, you know, it's called misappropriation of funds. And you can actually be jailed. When the budget says the Tamak Road is in Kabarak, then you put it in Makueni. That's called misappropriation. And you can be jailed. So when your son comes for money for this, then he does this. He's learning to be lacking in integrity. So what I'm saying is, there may come a time when you have to help, but help with a clear thing so that the two of them do know exactly how you helped and for what items. Teach how to live within your means. Because one of the problems they are suffering from may be living the way the parents live, and they are not earning what the parents were earning. You must show them that you lived in Umoja for 5 years, and there's nothing wrong that happened. You are okay in Umoja. Although the other day I had a funny story where the parents told the son, bought the son a house in Boroboro, and they have grown up in Lavington. So they just came with them and said, Papa, we are grateful for the house you bought us in Boroboro, but between us and you, who really knows Boroboro well? So he was like, what do you want? You move out of this house, this is where we grew up, this is our village. You go and stay in. Can you see the tough thing of dealing with adults? That's your only son with a wife coming to advise you to vacate. You're just going back to where you are living. Now anyway, that's why in dealing with the finances, teach him to live within his, not our means, but his means. Next, you may not agree with this one. Let him suffer the consequences of wrong use of money. If a person has taken money and he has been arrested and is locked up in a cell, don't give him bond. Let him sleep a few nights because of taking people's money without paying back. And you wonder, sure, my father can afford it. I can. But I did not steal with you. You stood alone. You know, the other day I heard of a father where he actually went and paid bond for the son. The son was very happy. But next time to appear in court, the son did not appear in court. And the father never knew where he is. So do you know the father came for the father? And if you cannot produce the criminal, he was happy. The father stayed in the cell. I don't know whether it is weeks or days. But they could not find the son. You know, if you are not careful about parenting adults, we shall come for you in the cell. Because after all, they don't think there's a big price. You pay that, you have the money. Anyway, what I'm saying is, allow your child to suffer the consequences of wrong financial decisions. And when you allow him, he will not die. You talk empathetically. You show him how you understand what he's going through. And you discuss with him how he can avoid going to jail another time. Do not make him think your money is his. He's just waiting for you to die. And some sons are like that, isn't it? Take him one like this and you say, if he has told. We were discussing that with some young people the other day. They said, especially boys are going through problems. Many girls seem to be copying, but the boys are not copying. Why? Why should I work hard? And there's a house in Lavington. When I sell it, 200 million, I think I can live for right. So why don't I start working? So several boys have stopped working. Every time the boss says, you must improve. Me, he just leaves. He doesn't see why anybody should come at him. When his father has house in Lavington. Something in our bringing the map went wrong. Where he thought his money is, your money. They need to understand there is no law in the country that can force you. Remember, the sons of Kerema even took him to court. He needs to know very early. As you remember, when I was working for Shell used to fund our cars. So every 4 years I would have a new car. Because that's how long it took to clear the road. Then we'll get another car. Of course, the idea is so that I can travel with a good car going to their business. But as that happened, I remember coming home with a car, and one of my children said, that car is bad. I said, it's not your car. The only person with the right to complain about the car is your mother. You are passing through. Whatever color my car is will not affect you in any way. I wanted them to know very early. Anything I have belongs to Rebecca and John, and they are not welcome into it. They must work for their own income, their own money. Their budget is not my budget. Their economy is not mine is only me and Rebecca. And it's important to understand that they must understand even some of the items they see you own. You might give them to sit up. Hiya, you can do that. Surely, I want God's work. God gave me the flat. In fact, the house in Lavington, I'm likely to either sell it or hand it over to sit up. Are you going mad? No, I'm normal. I know God gave me the house. And I'm looking at how we can fund the nations in a deal. And I think that house can just do the job. They talk among themselves, our father is going berserk. A friend of mine actually told the children before he died that he has 5 children. They said, where is the 5th one? The church. And he actually later, because I participated in reading the will when he died, it was actually written. A fifth, a quarter, the 5th, the last 5th for the church. But he had told them even, and he had told me earlier, before he died. So they need to understand they are not the only people who are inheriting. And when they learn that, they will work for their own. In fact, somebody said the other day, we need to come out clear. Our money is for our grandchildren, not our children. Your child is to your age mate. You know, especially if you married when you are below 25. Him and you are age mates. So how can one help the other? It is your grandchildren who should be thinking about your money, not your own They must run their own economy. Anyway, I have to finish. Handling conflicts. Question: what are the effective ways to resolve conflicts that arise from differing values or life challenges? How can parents manage the expectations while they respecting their young adults individually? My prayer is that as you brought them up, they are clear what your values are. Because they are biblical values, isn't it? So your children should know what your values are. Once you know somebody's values, you now know the kind of decisions. Because our decisions are normally made in line with our values. So my suggestion is, do not find your identity in your children, so their failure does not become yours. The first thing. You know, you want to be a lawyer, you become a lawyer for me. Now, we have to find a way of children. If you are to handle conflict, you must find a way of not finding your identity. Because some people are getting sick because of the failure of their children. Why? When the child fails, they think they're the ones who have failed. And we are from that generation where when your child is doing KCPE, you are more concerned about it than your son. You even wake him up, isn't it? And beg him, please, for my sake, just pass. Now, so they grow with that feeling, and the trouble is not them, it's you. Every time you hear their marriage is broken, you think it's yours. No, it's not yours. Your wife is still here. You are enjoying it. That is there. Of course, you are not happy your children's marriage are broken. But it should not make you have stress and depression. Because God has been good to you. You are able to remain together until they were able to leave home. When you are still together, and you set them a good example. If they may have made choices, are you understanding what I'm trying? Allow them to suffer the consequences of their own choices. Are we together? So do not find your identity, and you can find some of us. You know, just what is your name? I'm a piano. Actually, the father of the Chief Justice. Now, where does the Chief Justice come in? But you see, you are not what it is. So when you gain your identity, being the father of. So when the Chief Justice is fired, you also fired. Am I communicating? Yes. So that's something you have to deal with. God made you different from your child. You must remain different. They are your friends, you decide the best for them. But do not take like their problems are actually your own problems. And that's something you need to ask yourself. Of course, there is a thin line. Because your love for them makes you affected. But when you are getting affected to the extent of getting into depression, you now mean most likely you are finding your identity in them. And you know that, just talk to many parents. When they talk, they don't talk about themselves. They talk about their sons and their daughters. In other words, don't worry that I dress badly. You know, my daughter is the one who won the pigeons. I will talk to you, not your daughter. You realize the identity of your daughter is not your identity. Number 2, accept your son's home is just like any neighbor's home. He's a neighbor, and you are concerned about your neighbors, but you normally don't interfere with them. Are we together? Your friend's home, you are concerned, but you don't take it over, isn't it? So, in dealing, reducing conflict, here I'm especially worried about the conflict between the adult parents and the adults. And the things I'm telling you are to help you not to end up in conflict with them. Number 3, avoid siding with a child against your in-law. You have no idea how they met. Now they are married. And the truth of the matter is, you advise your son to hate the wife, and she'll be told, my father was telling me to throw you out. Now, you are... Avoid taking sides. Are we together? Avoid taking sides. And even when you are told the story, don't throw it out. But say, but are you aware that your wife is also good in this and this and this? Look at the lesson she brought me. That wife of yours loves me. You are not denying because your son knows the truth. But you are trying to show him you are not buying everything. Am I communicating? your son must know it's not the two of us against the wife. Because the two are supposed to be one. When you do that, then your daughter-in-law hears what you said. They know my mother-in-law is my defender. And that is likely to make the marriage of your son stand. Am I communicating? When they think that the wife, the mother and the son are together, she will leave her as fast as possible. That marriage is in trouble, isn't it? And who is the cause? The foolish mother-in-law. So we are here to say you must find a way of not being the one who is setting the conflict, but preventing the conflict or resolving them. Talk about biblical values when there is no conflict. In other words, don't say, but the Bible says, but the Bible, in a conflict, that's not the right time. That's why we talked about creating friendships and talking about values. When you finally are in a conflict, you don't have to say anything. He remembers what you say. And remember the way he is treating the wife is not in line with the values, isn't it? That's likely to sort out the problem faster. When there is a conflict, however, let you and your son be on one side and the conflict on another side. Then help to tackle it. It's a principle that's very important. If there's an issue, maybe it's an issue of money, he ate your money. And you are very annoyed. Remember we say in the book of Titus we are told to be self-controlled, isn't it? Find a way of removing the debate to how did the money get lost. In other words, how did you lose my money? No? How did the money get lost? Now you talk with the problem over there and the two of you are on the same side. The problem is on the other side. You are saying, hiya, you mean my father is not holding me responsible? Finally, after the discussion, you see what he did wrong. But you're on the same side. Because you are saying, how can we help this situation never to occur again? And that will be right. Conflict management is a full subject. We may not finish it. But I'm talking about what you can do in order to make it easier for you. Whether it's a conflict between the son and the wife, or between the wife and you as a mother-in-law, or between the son and the father, or between the father and the daughter-in-law, whatever. I think it's important to find that these principles will help you. Wow. So you had many questions. How can parents support their young adults' personal and professional growth? What are the best ways to encourage self-discipline and accountability? Again, find out what his life purpose is. Because how can you be talking about personal growth and you have no idea what the head game is? Are we together? Find out. Not what you told him when he was growing. Now he's an adult. What is he trying? Where is he trying to go? As friends, keep finding progress when he's willing to discuss issues. Don't force yourself. If he doesn't want to discuss his work, don't push him. Teach him the value of having boundaries and sticking with them. Because part of the reason why we don't grow in our career is because of not putting boundaries. Or putting them, but we are not sticking to them. What about the issue of navigating relationship? How involved should parents be in their young adults' friendships, especially a romantic relationship? What advice can help in setting boundaries with young adults who are still living at home? This is now different. These are adults who are still at home. 3 suggestions. Number 1, find a way of them earning, even in the earning little. The idea of sitting at home watching TV and eating because the parents can pay, find a way of removing it. These days there are jobs being done online, isn't it? They can even become watchmen. But I have a degree. You have a degree, but since you are not getting a job, who will know you are a degree? Just simply start there, at least you earn enough money to pay for your ugali, isn't it? So after all, the Bible is clear. If you don't work, don't eat. That needs to be there. So you must get every adult to take responsibility for their own life and say, because I love you, I do not want you to go to hell. And in hell, some people will be there because they have committed adultery. Others will be there because they ate without working. Now, I do not want you to go to hell because I, as your mother, fed you without you working. Get him to understand that he needs to come up home. And, like a friend of mine did, if the worst comes, just rent a house for him and move him out of your house to a house where you are the one paying rent initially. But he has to cook for himself or sleep hungry. So he must at least make a watchman's fee, although he can't beat the rent, for him not to sleep hungry. If you allow him to continue with your home, even at the age of 50, you'll still be there. Next, discuss your romantic life and its mistakes and successes. Use your own example to help set up your son on the right direction. We are not talking about people who are not married, they are still in your home. Have ever-expanding boundaries if they are still at home. Initially, tell them, if you are staying in this house, you must be home by 6. Then they get a little older. You must be home by 7. They get older. Mine started buying a car and they are at home. So I said, you must be here by a certain time. I said, but Papa, I'm driving. No, I say even driving at night is dangerous. That way they went and rented a house. Because you see, there is no way they'll be in my house and I'll be asleep at night at midnight and they still have not come home. It will disturb me, isn't it? Say, okay, come home for my sake, not for yours. So the next thing I knew, they were renting a house somewhere else. I did not ask them to leave home. They are welcome home, but they don't want the rules. But there's no way somebody can be in your house and there are no rules. And tell them, I know you're an adult. As soon as you're able to leave, so that I do not have to hold you to this rule. But you must have extra expanding boundaries. Do not treat a flat a-year-old man like a 15-year-old. Are we together? Expand the boundaries. Once you give what you think a good spouse looks like, promise to pray and no more. In other words, you tell your son, a good woman is like this. Okay, it's right, but after 2 children, you'll be a drum. So don't put too much effort. Don't put too much effort on the guy. Advise the guy, isn't it? But my advice is, traditionally, you could pick a girl for them, isn't it? But the kind of circumstances that have come, they will throw away the wife just because the father said. Are we together? So we need to be very careful how we do that. So, help where he asks for help. They can bring a girl and say, what do you think, Papa, about this one? Give honest feedback. But don't tell them you can't marry them. Just say, these are my thoughts about it. Teach him the value of keeping the biblical boundaries with all friends, especially the girlfriend or boyfriend before marriage. What about transitions and milestones? How can parents support their young adults through major life transitions like college, first jobs, moving out? What are the key developmental challenges young adults face and how can parents best address them? I've tried to cover, I think I have a few copies of my book on parenting, but you can always get the book from Scripture Union. Discuss seasons. Get to your son. Discuss seasons of life. Let him know how there are various seasons and what are the challenges in each season and how to deal with those seasons before they themselves reach him. That's a way to help him. Let him have an idea well before that time. Especially cover sexual temptations and cover exam preparation. Isn't that a transition? And what that means. Cover job hunting. Cover marital challenges of young couples. All those transitions. Discuss them. And the reason we are discussing before they happen is because that will prepare him for transition. What about cultural and generational differences? How can parents navigate cultural or generational gaps that affect their relationship with their young adults? What approaches work best when values between parents and young adults actually differ? Number one, accept generational gaps exist. Do not think that your son thinks like you. It is true, nature is your nature, but nurture is not your nurture. It depends on the friends he has seen growing up, isn't it? And the other day I was in shock when I heard you are 80% nurture and only 20% nature. In other words, if a Kikuyu child is born in Murang'a but brought up in Bondo, will be rules, 80%. And they'll even hate Kikuyus. Now, although they themselves, the mother and the father are actually Kikuyus. Because you are 80% Nacha. And that's what creates the generation gap. Because they are growing with different people from you. You are only one of the many inputs in their nature. Anyway, I have to finish. Otherwise it will be too late. Let the other questions come during question time. But sorry, I've taken quite a bit of time. I hope you are not feeling bored. And that's why I was coming, because I knew time will run towards the end. But now we are open for questions, and Rebecca is also here to add her word. Thank you.